Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is me and Christiana. There was something that I was thinking about that I wanted to share today. Hopefully, this can be helpful to someone because it's something that I was thinking about, and I just wanted to share this with you all. I'm pretty sure that this is for someone. Someone is going to understand what I'm talking about, and this is just for your consideration because I feel that someone may need to hear this. So when I think about the word tower, I think about a fortress. And in stories, especially in the stories that have happy endings, fortresses or towers are largely impenetrable. They're immovable, they're unshakable. But it depends on whether or not the foundation is solid or sound, and if the materials are sturdy. That's with regards to the fortress or the tower. Okay. Sometimes the fortress is going to be tested. And it's typically tested by attacks or threats, or the threat of an attack, for the opposition to see whether they could find a way into the fortress or infiltrate the fortress in order to destroy the foundation of the fortress, the materials themselves, or the inhabitants within said fortress, okay, or tower. But if the fortress was built on a solid foundation, if the fortress was built with good materials, or if the inhabitants of the fortress are prepared to go to war and to go to battle, then you can stand a chance against the opposition. Okay? So I want you to take this into consideration. This is a scenario. So if you're outside of the tower, when your opponent comes, you would run into the tower, and you're likely to find shelter and safety, perhaps even some food to hold you over until the opposing forces leave. However, if you choose that method, when the war is over, you're highly likely to go right back to the status quo, and you wouldn't have learned your lesson because you would still be vulnerable to attack the next time your opponent comes near. You're going to do the same repeat. Your opponent comes near, you're going to try to run to this tower, and you're going to be wearing yourself out trying to run to this tower every time. But in addition to that, you're not going to learn your lesson because you keep leaving the tower, and you keep going on and doing whatever it is that you want to do. Now, I'm going to give you another scenario for consideration. So, conversely, if you live inside the tower, it means that you'll always have the protection, you'll always have the foundation of this tower, you'll always be protected by the materials of this tower, and when opposition comes, you won't have to run into the tower because you'll already be there. The most that you may have to do is just brace yourself and prepare to fight. Okay? So in essence, you would essentially be more prepared than the person that's living outside of the tower by assumption. Okay? For not only would this person in this scenario, A, would need to run to shelter, but they also may have to later fight. So the person in scenario A, they're outside of the tower. Whenever the opponent comes, they run into the tower. Okay. But the person in scenario A never considers that they might also later have to actually fight. Because, for example, you can run to the tower, but that's assuming that the tower is built on the foundation and that the materials are sturdy, but the tower may be penetrable. So you're going to run to this tower. The tower may be penetrable. It may or may not. There may be some spies inside the tower. Who knows, right? But if you have to run to the tower, you're not considering that you still may have to fight. Okay, so person in scenario A, that not only does that person need to run the shelter, but they may also have to later fight. And that individual, they might be so tired from the flight to the tower that they may not even be able to war if there is a breach in the fortress. Now, we got person scenario A, we got person in scenario B. And I want to ask you, the watcher, the viewer, the listener, whatever you're doing, which person are you? Personality-wise, which person are you? And I mean, the reason I'm asking that is because I want you to consider, would you be the person that wants to live inside the tower, have a foundation, protection from the elements, potential, you'll have food, and be battle ready? Or do you want to live outside the fortress? Do you want to risk hunger and running for dear life, only to arrive to the fortress weary and not prepared to fight? Not only would you be underprepared to fight, but you, as an individual running to the fortress and not living inside, you are also putting the whole community behind that tower at risk, because when there's a poll for soldiers, you won't be ready. You'll be struggling to put your armor on because it might not fit. You won't know how to wear the armor, let alone know how to use it. So your new community wouldn't even be able to count on you or to trust you to stand with them because you don't live inside the tower. You don't know the rules and regulations of the populace inside the tower. You don't know how they war. You don't know how they go to battle. You don't have a set of armor yet. And if there was armor available, you wouldn't know how to put it on and you wouldn't know how to use it because you don't live inside the tower. So your new community wouldn't even be able to trust you or to count on you. So I'm going to just tell you one thing. I don't know about you, but as for me and my house, we'd rather be safe than sorry and live inside the tower. I suggest it's under my strong advisement. You better run for that fortress. You better get fitted. You better test your armor. You better test that armor before you get a worthy opponent. Because if a worthy opponent comes and you don't live inside the tower and you're not ready for battle, baby, if you're not ready for battle, you won't stand a fighting chance. So I strongly suggest, for whoever is watching, you may want to examine your life, examine your lifestyle, your personality, the people you're around, the things you do and that you like to do. You better get it together and you better find you a fortress. 'Cause baby, when your opposition comes, and if you're not ready, you're going to have to run to the fortress. You're going to have to, and you're going to be tired, and you won't even have the energy left for the stand battle. You will not have the energy. And if you don't have the energy for the stand battle, guess what? You're going to lose. You're going to lose. And there's too much to lose, too much at stake. So I don't know who needed to hear that, but I just wanted to give you that for your consideration. Okay? Other than that, you have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, whenever you're watching this. But I consider that you better find you a fortress. You better get you some armor. You better make sure that armor fits and that you know how to use it, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. But that's all I have for now. Hopefully, whoever this is intended for, hopefully it helped you in some way, at least for your consideration. Other than that, stay up.